Hi everybody, Dr. Joe here, and today I want to go through end-of-work yoga for golfers. Most of the amateur golfers I work with have desk jobs, and when we have desk jobs, we tend to sit in certain postures throughout the day. It's great for a job, but the problem is we keep joints and soft tissues in the same position, and they adapt to those positions, and they become bad at the other positions. So when we sit, we tend to sit with these kind of rounded forward shoulders, hunched back. Our hips are flexed. The problem is our chest gets tight. The front of our shoulder is tight. Our hip flexors are tight. Our lower back loses its flexibility as well. And when we go into the golf swing, we have to get things in the opposite positions. For example, the top of the backswing is here. This is the exact opposite position if we're working on a keyboard throughout the day. So I came up with a yoga plan that's going to take you through some movements to undo all that stress and tissue shortening that happens throughout the day. It's going to be a quick one, only takes a few minutes. All you're going to need is a golf club and a chair, and this is how it goes. The first thing I want to target is the shoulders. So again, we tend to be rounded here, so what we need to do is open the chest up. I like to go hands behind the head. I'll squeeze my shoulder blades back and pull my elbows behind me. This is going to open up the chest, and I will do a short hold as I take a few deep breaths. From there, I'll progress into multiple repetitions where I squeeze and relax, squeeze and relax. You can do it just a few times. You can go up to 10 to 15 repetitions. Now we want to reverse it for our shoulder too, so I'm going to make my golf club help me out. I'm going to grab one end with this, grab the other end with my hand. I'm going to push up and out, rotating my shoulder back. Again, I'm looking to mimic the top of the backswing position and get a nice stretch here. So I'm going to repeat the repetitions a few times, and I will often add in a hold. Careful here, you may feel some cramping in the front of that shoulder because it hasn't been in that position all day. Then I'm going to take it and repeat on the other side. Again, I'm going to like somewhere in that 10 to 15 repetition range, and then I'll end with a 20 or 30 second hold. Perfect. Now, what we don't want to forget about is our neck, right? If we're on a computer, we tend to be here. So our head drops forward and down. So we want to first start by getting a good posture, upright and tall, roll those shoulder blades back. I'm going to tuck my chin and press my neck back that way. Then I'm going to relax. Press back and relax. This one's also great if you just have stress in your neck throughout the workday or your neck bothers you during the golf swing. We really have got to activate these muscles and open up these muscles. Now, golf is a sport of rotation. So next, I like to take the club across the top of my shoulders, squeeze my shoulder blades back, and I'm going to rotate each way. I want to make sure I've got controlled breathing throughout, and I'm going to twist as far as I can. Again, twisting is not something we do much during the workday, so we tend to lose our ability to get into that position because our soft tissues and other structures are shortened and adapted. Now, again, the lower back tends to end up rounded, so I'm simply going to do some pelvis tilts and seated. So I'm going from this position where I tend to be throughout the day. I'm going to roll up, arch my back, aim my chest up to the sky, drop back down. Rise up, drop down. If we go back to our shoulders and our hands, we notice that our arms are sitting down here, so they're low. They're not up overhead. So I like to get that golf club back into play. I'll stand or sit nice and tall. I'll lift up overhead, drive back behind, and back down. Don't feel like you need to come all the way down for this one. We've been down all day, so just the top half of the motion is perfectly fine here. You can play with different widths. Just whatever feels better on your shoulder. The primary focus is just to get the shoulder in different position and to stretch out that chest. Another one where I like to add rotation, I'll hold overhead and do a few turns to each side. Now, I've still been sitting all this time because it works well for the video and because I like things that are easy for people to do, but you do want to get to open up the hips here. So I like to throw something down just for my knee to rest on, or do this on carpet. I'm going to position myself next to something for balance, and I'm going to come here. Now, here's a big key for this, and I cover this with patients all the time. Sometimes people let their back excessively arch, and they can go forward kind of forever. Well, our abs attach to the front of our pelvis, so do our hip flexors. So we've got to first put our pelvis in neutral, right? So we don't want to be arched. We're going to come here, and then once we've established that position of our trunk, we can shift forward until you feel that stretch in the front of the hip flexor or the quads. We can hold here. I personally like to add a little bit of rotation. We're going to go toward the up leg because that's going to wrap the hip flexor further around. And I might turn 5-10 times before I then switch to the other side. Again, I correct the pelvis first, and then I add a few twists. And you should feel that tension on the hip flexor throughout. It's going to increase as you rotate. Now, let's not forget about the wrist. Again, we end up here, so we're going to straighten the fingers and we're going to roll back. Drop down, and we're going to roll back. Side view here. We don't tend to have to worry about our elbows too much because those tend to see plenty of motion throughout the day. As a bonus, what we could work on is our calves. So I might get myself into a position here and stretch my calves out. I can use a wall for extra support if I want, and make sure we're getting the calves stretched. I've got whole entire other videos on this, so I don't tend to talk about it much in this progression, but it's also never a bad idea to lengthen the hamstrings a few times at the end of the day. So that's going to be a specific yoga progression for golfers. For those of you who sit throughout the day, because we have to reverse all those postures, otherwise those tissues shorten over time and they affect our golf swing in the long term. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. Thanks for hanging out.